This one's gonna make some people mad. And yeah, not looking forward to some comments, but the reality is we have updates on Tim Ballard. Some semen found on Celeste Borys' skirt. She used to be his executive assistant, and she's one of the women who came forward with the lawsuit of sexual assault. I will refer to it as moving forward. The skirt was sent to the Utah Crime Lab. Her attorney said the detectives told them that it was 100% match for his DNA, and yeah, but they would not release the paperwork to her attorneys. But they're like, oh, we have criminal investigations going on. We don't want to share. However, we've got a couple of issues going on with that. Number one, the defense on Ballard's side comes from his psychic, quote marks, Janet Rousson, who released a YouTube video claiming that, oh, well, the reason you'd find that stain on her skirt is because she and Tim shared a suitcase. That still makes you wonder why on earth would there have been semen there in the first place, especially if he's like this well-behaved Latter-day Saint man who doesn't believe in pleasuring himself in that fashion. Okay. Celeste Borys' attorneys say no, they never did. You do have to wonder if they weren't staying in the same hotel room, and of course Tim claims that the whole couples ruse thing didn't extend as far as these women are saying it did, that they wouldn't have shared a hotel room or a suitcase, so that's a weird defense, but okay. The Utah County Sheriff's Office, they have not commented on the situation. Her attorneys are saying that the plaintiff believes she's entitled to the results. A little bit of a problem is that they requested this paperwork in November of 2023. And there are no papers. There's no paperwork. And yeah, 5 months later, it turned up and existed. Thanks to Adam Herbets from Fox 13 News, who, by the way, is not actually a Fox channel. Adam Herbets has done a lot of really great investigative reporting on this situation. He was able to get, finally, 5 months later, paperwork. The State Records Committee was, quote, disgusted that the Utah County Sheriff's Office did not release these public records, especially because of the nature of the crime. Quote, plaintiff and her counsel have made diligent efforts to obtain a certified copy of the DNA results. And then later, defendant Ballard has, both figuratively and literally, unclean hands. Well said. Well said. Committee had a whole meeting, and Adam Herbets was there. How the sheriff's office was withholding the criminal report, even though there had been a public records request. And again, we just can't find the papers. I hate it when we can't find public records. Yeah. So some members of the committee, again, they were more than disappointed. They were even disgusted at their lack of transparency because they said that their behavior was contrary to the intent of, I don't know if they're calling it GRAMA or GRAMA, but it is Government Records and Management Act. I'm going to call it GRAMA because that's what it looks like. They were in violation of that, and that's not cool. Adam Herbets pointed out that yes, Tim has a lot of powerful friends and probably managed to get it a little bit kind of hidden conveniently for 5 months because of OUR and all of that. He made the request on November 30th of 2023. Utah County Sheriff's Office, yeah, not cool. This is from Adam Herbets again. He said, I don't know what I could have done. I gave them dates. I gave them names. I gave them the roadmap exactly on how to find these records. So someone is either completely incompetent or they're Ballard fans and just don't want to comply with the law. Apparently, whenever a GRAMA request is filed by the media, the government, it's kind of like the FOIA docs, essentially, the Freedom of Information Act, but it's the Utah-specific law. So the government is legally required to respond to the media within 5 business days. So basically a week. 5 months is a little bit longer. Herberts then went on. He said, I don't want to assign blame or intent to Utah County. I am worried about the precedent that it might set for other governmental entities. I think it's a pretty underhanded way to try and kill a news story. I would like to make sure that other governmental entities don't try and use the same tactic in the future. And the members of the committee, one of them, Nova Dubovic, said it's almost as if they're obstructing it. The whole request was handled poorly. Another guy says, I understand the committee's frustration. I believe this is Van Noy, and he's on the Ballard side of things. He said, I'm afraid and I'm fairly certain I came across as pretty stonewalled and pithy and not willing to reveal or divulge much information. I apologize for that. Okay, do better. Stop it. Cornwall from the committee said they, in essence, have snubbed their nose at an important governmental process. Linda Peterson said an important governmental law to finally comply after 5 months is not consistent with the intent of grammar. So that was the first bit of updates. The next little bit was June and July of 2024. We had more updates, and Tim publicly was like, victory! And his PR team did a great job of making it sound like it was victory, but not so much. There were 2 miniature victories, but all of the serious stuff is still there. One of the victories was against Bree Righter. She is the former Marine, who you can look up her. There's an entire piece about her, I believe, on Vox. Really well done. She was the one who, during a quote unquote training situation, she was kind of dogpiled, and someone's knee landed on her face and broke her eye socket, and she's had medical problems ever since, surgeries, and all kinds of issues. She's also part of the SA suits moving forward. By the way, there's like 4 different governmental agencies across various states, so that we might have the FBI or the federal charges getting involved. We shall see. But these are criminal suits as well as some civil ones. Part of that suit was dismissed. It was referring specifically to the eye socket being crushed and Tim being somewhat liable for that. And the reason it was dismissed is because there had been a waiver. As you do, we go to a gym, you sign a waiver saying that you're waiving any liability. And so the court dismissed it, but said it was without prejudice, which means if she can come back with further evidence that Tim was somehow negligent in very specific ways, what was she told or promised that he would be protecting her from or whatever, and then how he failed to do that, she can bring forth this suit again. It's not just thrown out completely. While Ballard's side was cheering the fact that, Bree Righter's case was thrown out, at the same time, she and Kyra Lynch, 2 of the women who had been SA'd and have their own suits filed, they were granted SUL violence protective orders against him on July 8th and July 11th. That does not sound like a victory in the Ballard camp to me, but you won't hear them talking about that. The other quote-unquote victory that Ballard is claiming and in his camp is regarding my last video went quite into depth about Kelly Moya's, I think that's her married name now, but I think it was Suarez originally, her suit for defamation. This is a civil suit. This is the one where she was portrayed horrifically in Sound of Freedom. She was arrested and imprisoned falsely with no charges. She was eventually released, but she's had billboards at home. There's been all kinds of, just her name has been just run through the mud, and her life has been largely destroyed because of Tim Ballard, and the case is very much alive. The judge has actually said that this very clear, that Angel Studios, who is one of the co-defendants, Tim Ballard and many others were very clearly saying things that were inaccurate, dishonest. The slight teeny tiny win is that Catherine Ballard, Tim's wife, was dismissed from the lawsuit because there wasn't enough to show that she was involved enough to have played as big a part. They have very clear video excerpts of Tim saying, Kelly was actually this, that, and the other, when it's verifiably false. Like, for example, that she was ever Miss Columbia. A quick Google search can show she never was. So very clear lies that they have video, clear evidence of Tim saying these things in multiple places. Catherine did not. And so she was dismissed from the lawsuit. So one thing for those who are in Utah and may know some of these names, one of the owners of the Angel Studios movie studio that was behind the production, they are the Harmon brothers. And when I first heard that, I went, Harmon brothers, because there is a grocery store chain, and it's kind of like a high-end. If you go to some areas, you can find the fancy cheeses and the breads and it's a kind of a swankier grocery store chain in Utah. It's called Harmon's and is run by Harmon brothers. And so I had to double check. Different family. It's not the same hormones. So I was relieved, to be honest, to know that it's not the same guys. So that wasn't exactly a win, either one of those. You know, nice try. It's just sad though that they're trumpeting that, oh, Kelly's case was thrown out. No, only the Catherine little tiny part. And then, oh, Bree Righter's case was thrown out. No, just the Jim waiver part. The most serious charges are absolutely still there. We are far from done on this, and I suspect we'll have federal charges coming because, again, we are crossing state lines and there's multiple states involved. Per American Crime Journal, says the only portion of the lawsuit against Ballard dismissed with prejudice were the claims of negligence by Ballard and OUR that led to Righter's eye socket being shattered. So that's the only part that was dismissed with prejudice, and the rest of it is without prejudice, so she can refile. Alternatively, Righter's claims against OUR and Ballard for conspiracy, negligence, and premises liability are dismissed without prejudice, as is Righter's claim against Ballard for fraud. So she can, all of that, she could come back again. It's going to bite him in the butt. For those who still are supporting him, I'm going to just again point out, even Glenn Beck has turned against him. One of his close friends, Eric Motos, both of them are far right from where I sit politically, and yet they have turned against him because they've seen his true colors. A lot of people have asked me how OUR could have increased the demand for child trafficking, because that doesn't seem like, well, that doesn't make sense. So here's the basics of how some of that would work. His team would fly in, even though they didn't know of any trafficked children in the area, even though they didn't know of any traffickers necessarily in the area, they would go to a place where they knew that there was prostitution happening, but it was legal for adults, whatever the age of consent was in that country. And they would then go in and say, well, give me someone younger. And they'd, we tried out a 15-year-old. Oh, no, younger. And they'd say, well, this is the youngest we have, because again, that's the legal age in their country. Well, we need younger. And so the next time Americans come into town, then maybe they are finding younger children because that's what they think the Americans want, but that idea was put into their head by Tim's team. And in Kelly's case, she was just invited to a party and by some Americans, and a bunch of children were invited as well. None of those children had ever been trafficked. None of them had. In Washington State, OUR has talked about stings they did and all this money that they donated. Turns out records show that they donated about $40,000 total to Washington State Police, which is less than half of the salary of a brand new cadet. So what were they paying for? Not much. Those stings did not catch a single trafficker and did not rescue a single child in trafficking. And yet, based on that situation and that donation, Ballard's team is claiming that they rescued 200 children or arrested 200 traffickers. I'm forgetting which one. Sean Reyes is also being investigated by 2 different counties. He's the Attorney General in Utah and will not be for long. He's very unpopular for this and many other reasons. He also tends to be what some would call a media whore. He loves being in front of the camera. He's a total buddy of Tim's. He managed to get in on one of his documentaries with, quotation marks, scare quotes there, because, yeah, not really. He's also been in 3 episodes of Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, the ranch is in Utah, but what does the Attorney General have to do with anything? It's just that Sean likes to be in front of the camera, so that's cute. Okay, yeah, so those are our updates on Tim. So his 2 tiny little victories aren't, and there's a lot still going through the court system. I think there are more charges coming, and he's not the innocent dude we all hoped and wanted him to be. He's not the innocent dude that he purported to be. Yeah, even the tattoo picture of him lying in that hotel room, his excuse was saying that, well, you have to make sure your tattoos match. Then they would be up close images to make sure that the tattoo was precise and in the exact right location and it matched exactly what it was before. It wouldn't be taken at a distance, showing his whole body asleep in his briefs and showing all his tattoos. That's not how that works, dude. So there's just so many levels of ick. No. So thanks for sticking around here. for True Crime, Faith, and Chocolate. As I've said, I am your host, Annette Lyon, USA Today bestselling author of the suspense novel Just One More, True Crime Junkie, Woman in Faith, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I've written and done. Go check all that stuff out while you're here. Make sure you like the video. If you're new, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all that good stuff. Share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Go grab something sweet.